Dear shareholders, good afternoon and a warm welcome to you all to the 33rd Annual General Meeting of PNB Housing Finance Limited through video conferencing or other audiovisual facility. As a reminder, for the smooth conduct of the meeting, the members will be in mute mode and audio and video will be opened only for the pre-registered speaker speak at the AGM as per the pre-registration. I now hand over the proceedings to Mr. Sanjay Jain, Company Secretary of PNB Housing Finance Limited. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Welcome to all the shareholders, members of the board, dear members, chairman, board of directors and other stakeholders and dignitaries present in the meeting. I, Sanjay Jain, Company Secretary of your company, welcome you all to the 33rd Annual General Meeting of the company, convened through audio conferencing and other audio-video means in accordance with the circulars issued by Ministry of Corporate Affairs and SEBI. We have the board members, including independent directors, chairperson of Audit Committee, Nomination and Remuneration Committee, Stakeholder Relationship Committee, and statutory auditors and secretarial auditors present in the meeting. Before I begin, I would introduce board members present at the meeting. Mr. C.H.S.S. Mallikarjun Rao, Chairman of the company. He is attending the AGM from New Delhi. Thank you, sir. Mr. Hardyal Prasad, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the company. He is attending the AGM from New Delhi. Kindly greet, sir. Mr. Sunil Kaul, Non-Executive Nominee Director. He is attending the AGM from Singapore. Mr. Kapil Modi, Non-Executive Nominee Director. He is attending the AGM from Mumbai. Mr. Rajneesh Karnatak, Non-Executive Nominee Director. He is attending the AGM from New Delhi. Mr. Neeraj Madan Vyas, Non-Executive Director and Chairman of Credit Committee of Board. He is attending the AGM from Indore. Mr. Nilesh S. Vikamse, Independent Director and Chairman of Audit Committee. He is attending the AGM from Pune. Mr. Chandrasekharan Ramakrishnan, Independent Director and Chairman of Nomination and Remuneration Committee and IT Strategy Committee. He is attending the AGM from Chennai. Mr. Sudarshan Sen, Independent Director. He is attending the AGM from Mumbai. Mr. Ashwini Kumar Gupta, Independent Director and Chairman of Stakeholder Relationship Committee. He is attending the AGM from Delhi. Dr. Tejendra Mohan Bhasin, Independent Director and Chairman of Corporate Social Responsibility Committee and Risk Management Committee. He is attending the AGM from New Delhi. Ms. Geeta Nayyar, Independent Director. She is attending the AGM from New York. Thank you. This is to confirm that the requisite quorum as required under the law is present at the meeting through video conferencing. Participation of members through video conferencing is reckoned for the purpose of quorum as per the circulars issued by MCA and SEBI and Section 103 of Companies Act 2013. Therefore, I declare the meeting as validly convened. Members who have pre-registered themselves as speaker will be allowed to speak when their names are announced and requested to speak. The audio and video mode will be opened for them accordingly. Members may ask their queries during the meeting through communication box appearing on their screen. Answers to the queries will be given suitably in the last. The recorded video of the proceedings of the meeting will be available on the website of the company and NSDL. The transcript of the AGM will be uploaded on the website of the company. General instructions. The company has sent the annual report and the notice of 33rd AGM to all the shareholders on their registered email addresses available with the company, RTA and depositories, and to all other persons who are entitled for the same. The same is also available on the website of the company and stock exchanges where the securities of the company are listed. Members may note that the facility for joining this meeting through video conference or other audio-video means is made available for the members on a first-come, first-served basis. The company has received requests from a few members to register them as speakers at the meeting. Accordingly, members who have pre-registered themselves as a speaker will be allowed to speak on the announcement of the floor for questions and answers. Also, the members who have missed the opportunity to drop their requests at the registered email address as given in the notice earlier or getting themselves registered now may ask their queries during the meeting through communication box appearing on their screen. Answers to the queries will be given suitably. I also draw the attention of the members to the fact that the requisite registers and all other documents as referred in the notice are available for inspection electronically during the AGM. Members seeking to inspect such documents can also send their requests to investor.services@pnbhousing.com. May I now request Mr. C.H.S.S. Mallikarjun Rao, Chairman of the company, to take the proceedings further.
Yeah, good afternoon and thank you, Mr. Sanjay. Dear members, I welcome you all to the 33rd Annual General Meeting of PNB Housing Finance Limited. It is a pleasure to connect with you all, although we are meeting virtually. On behalf of the company's Board of Directors, I would like to thank you for taking time out to join us today. Dear shareholders, it gives me immense pleasure to address you as the Chairman of your company and present the 33rd Annual Report and consolidated financial statements of PNB Housing Finance Limited for the financial year ended March 2021. The COVID-19-led pandemic which unfolded during the last quarter of financial year 1920 had unprecedented impact on the human life as well as economies across the globe. The complete lockdown witnessed during the first quarter had a deep impact on the economy and led to steep fall in domestic output. A series of measures taken following the unlocked phase helped the economy recover in the second half of the year. However, the pace of recovery was impacted again by the second wave, which resulted in localized restrictions in movement and in economic activities. The healthcare and the frontline workers have been the pillars of support during these challenging times, and we are forever grateful to them for their unconditional services. At PNB Housing, we supported the government's initiatives to help individuals and businesses by implementing measures like moratorium, partial credit guarantee scheme 2.0, emergency credit line guarantee scheme, and also participating in special refinance facility, targeted long-term repo operations, deferment of interest on working capital facilities, among others. The RBI took decisive steps to ease the monetary policy to help the economy recover from this unprecedented shock. There have been subsequent cuts in repo rates to support liquidity. The RBI pushed more than 2.7 lakh crore through open market operation purchases between February 6th and December 4th, 2020. Targeted long-term repo operations of 3 years tenure of a total amount of 1.13 lakh crore for investment in corporate bonds, commercial paper and non-convertible NCDs, in addition to injection of 1.25 lakh crore through long-term repo operations were conducted between February and March 2020. Growing opportunities for the housing finance companies. While housing demand was deeply impacted during the first half of 2020-21, the situation improved in the second half owing to the pent-up demand, falling interest rates and the extension of credit subvention scheme for the affordable housing segment. Post-pandemic, there has been an incremental need for owning home rather than renting out. The cumulative growth in on-book portfolio of HFCs for 9 months in the financial year 2021, that is up to December 20 versus March 20, stood at 2%. However, the second half of the year witnessed recovery in demand, leading to a gradual increase in disbursements nearing the pre-COVID levels. The total housing credit increased from 21.1 lakh crore as on 31st March 2020 to 22.1 lakh crore as on 31st December 2020. The disbursements started picking up from Q2 of financial year 2021 onwards, and overall on-book housing loan portfolio of NBFCs, HFCs and banks is estimated to have reached rupees 22.1 trillion as on December 31st, 2020. Supported by portfolio buyout, banks continue to outpace the disbursement growth. The overall HFC credit in India is estimated at 11.3 lakh crore as on 31st of December 2020, with exposures across home loans, loan against property, construction finance, and lease rental discounting. Driven by robust demand and liquidity support from its bankers, depositors, debenture holders, and National Housing Bank, the portfolio growth in the affordable segment remained higher at 8% in 9 months during the financial year 2021, following the growth of 18% in financial year 2020. With unwavering demand, the segment is expected to continue growing at a faster pace than the overall industry. The second wave has slowed down the recovery for the overall economy, including the real estate sector. However, with the accelerated vaccination program to inoculate the population in driving the hope for a faster turnaround, with major global rating agencies and experts anticipating a double-digit growth for the economy, evolving with a dynamic environment. While we have remained cautious during the year under review in terms of new business, we utilize this time to chalk out a new strategic roadmap which help bolster our position in the industry in the coming years. We have accelerated our digital journey and embarked on contactless customer onboarding and disbursal, one of the first in our sector to do so. We have sharpened our focus around the affordable housing segment and created a dedicated product and infrastructure to help strengthen our presence. We are leveraging the power of digital and analytical tools to strengthen our processes, including recovery and risk management, and to create a much stronger institution going forward. We will continue to serve our customers and help fulfilling the dreams and aspirations of owning a house for millions of Indians. Remaining steadfast. Even with the contraction in the economy in the same fiscal year, your company has focused on retail business, portfolio quality, recorded a decent income which translated into 44% year-on-year growth in profit after tax. This became possible due to the efforts of all the stakeholders and efforts of employees of the company who have worked throughout the year in COVID cyclone. Distribution strategy, technology, customer centricity, and corporate social responsibility are your company's key strengths. The company has pivoted its distribution strategy around an array of products that helps to drive sustainable growth in business. The hallmark of our product bouquet is innovation, affordability, and flexibility. With the changing paradigm in the housing sector, our strength lies in our efficiency to underwrite all categories of customers and nurture strong relationships with our business partners and stakeholders. With our retail focus and especially in affording housing segment, we remain steadfast in supporting PM's mission of housing for all. The current scenario highlights the urgent need to accelerate a sustainable business environment, and PNB Housing Finance is committed and prepared to lead the change and build a healthy and progressive housing finance company. I take this opportunity to thank our fellow board members for their unflinching support, the leadership team and strong team of employees for their effort to steer through the challenges and create a stronger PNB Housing Finance for tomorrow. I also wish to thank the Reserve Bank of India, the National Housing Finance Bank, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, and the stock exchanges for their continued support. I am also thankful to the shareholders for their overwhelming support during thick and thin. I expect that we are building a stronger PNB Housing Finance which will add significant value in the coming years. Thank you very much. Now I would like to request the Managing Director and CEO to apprise the shareholders regarding the performance of our company.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the message. Dear shareholders, I hope all of you are healthy and safe. The last few months have witnessed a devastating second wave of pandemic affecting India and many other countries in ways that are more severe than the first. The human cost of last few months is incalculable, and across societies there has been a deep impact. That said, things are improving rapidly with timely restrictions and widespread vaccination leading to a gradual return to normalcy. We all hope that this happens sooner than later. On behalf of all of us at PNB Housing Finance, I would also like to pay my tribute to all healthcare professionals and frontline workers for their relentless and selfless efforts at this time in service of the nation. Naturally, such a worldwide crisis has seminal economic impact as well. with almost all economies going into decline and recovery slated to be a gradual one. The pandemic and the subsequent lockdowns also posed a new set of challenges for the entire housing finance industry, which was already struggling with liquidity constraints post the NBFC crisis of 2019. Despite these unprecedented challenges, our people demonstrated exemplary grit and determination and countered the adversity with courage. Collectively, we ensured that the crisis brought out the best we had to offer and were able to protect our businesses during these testing times. We adapted well and responded with a calibrated strategy. Our multi-pronged approach began with activating the business continuity plan. We ensured health and well-being of our employees and took steps for continuity and coordination even in a work-from-home scenario. As new businesses remained muted during the first quarter, the teams were mobilized to engage continuously with customers, resolve their queries, and address any needs and concerns. We aligned our collections and operational strategy, keeping in view the evolving cash flow situation of our customers through regular follow-up and interaction. As a result, the retail loans under moratorium accounted for only 29% of our loan book. We significantly improved our focus on collection and increased our tele and field collection efforts without inconveniencing customers. Owing to the uncertainty and economic slowdown, disbursement in the first quarter was severely affected, resulting in degrowth of 43.9% compared to FY20. However, the housing sector received a fresh lease of life through timely interventions from the government and regulatory bodies through steps that benefited both developers and home buyers. The rationalization of home loan rates for retail customers and builders created an upswing in the last 2 quarters of the year. This was further aided by reduction of stamp duty, registration cost, capital gains, tax relief, etc. by the government, leading to a sharp increase in disbursement in the second half of the year. Increased digitization at all levels will also be a core differentiator going forward. Our sustained investment in this area bore fruit as we increased digital sourcing to 22% versus 9% a year ago. We also initiated steps to automate underwriting for straight-through processes. In these trying times, we launched various initiatives to keep our costs under control and reduce borrowing costs in line with general interest rates. Our net interest income stood at 2,323 crore for the year as against 2,308 crores in FY20. Operating profit stood at 2,069 crore against rupees 2,062 crore in FY20. The profit after tax grew by 44% to 930 crore as against 646 crore in FY20 due to cost control, efficiency and productivity improvement measures initiated by the company. Our asset quality was stressed with a gross NPA of approximately 4.4% on the loan book and approximately 3.9% on AUM. As a prudent measure, our total provisions as a percentage of total assets increased from 2.6% a year ago to 4.1% at the end of financial year 21. Our liquidity is supported by a prudent mix of long-term and short-term borrowings, and we plan to keep adequate liquid investments and unutilized lines to meet the gaps. Cash and cash equivalents were rupees 6,969 crores as on March 31, 2021. Our leverage profile has improved with a gearing of 6.7 times as on March 31st to 2021 compared to 8.6 times a year ago. Higher internal accruals and relatively lower risk weights for smaller ticket loans formed a part of our portfolio rebalancing strategy, which led to increase in our capital adequacy ratio. Our CAR is comfortably over regulatory limits at 18.73% with a Tier 1 adequacy of 15.5% as on March 31st, 2021 as compared to 17.98% and 15.18% respectively a year ago. We have realigned our strategy in favor of retail businesses as we have built significant expertise around self-employed and salaried customer segments, while reducing our exposure in the corporate segment. Smaller ticket loans today account for 96% of our disbursements. Our Unnati loans are proving to be a niche powered by a differentiated distribution network, underwriting capabilities, and customer service. Our focus is on three major areas that comprise strengthening the core, digital drive, and accelerated growth. This agenda consists of 7 focus areas around management, capital, risk management, cost optimization, digital drive, retail-focused lending, and affordable housing segment growth that will help grow businesses, strengthen risk management, increase profits, and create value for all stakeholders. This, along with our focused approach towards affordable customer segments, will be our agenda over the medium term and help the organization become stronger. The company is fast evolving as a technology-led company in the housing segment. Digitization and innovation are two attributes that are transforming us from being just a lender to a digital solution provider for customers. With the introduction of new age technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotic process automation across the value chain, we are achieving improved process control and efficiency. We have leveraged technology by launching a digital acquisition platform, ACE, our flagship mobile app for contactless application and onboarding. Our customer centricity is a core differentiator and is central to the diverse home and non-home loan products portfolio that we offer to our customers. Our value-based approach and high governance standards enable us to put customer interest before our own. We continue to sharpen this focus through proactive upskilling initiatives for our workforce. We are leveraging advanced analytics and new age technologies to accelerate an organization-wide digital transformation with the intent of improving our customer service and value proposition. Apart from our digital onboarding platform, technology has redefined the way our CRM works and has improved that during the year. We provide our customers with an omni-channel and seamless experience through branches, customer care centers, mobile application, social media, etc. Our efforts are augmented using advanced analytics tools and predictive analytics to forecast customer needs for better customer service. Care for the community is an integral part of our ethos and culture. During the year, our CSR activities saw us contribute Rs 22.7 crores to improve the lives of 2.5 lakh plus beneficiaries. These contributions extended from skilling programs and for their children to investment in healthcare and access to formal education. As part of our efforts to facilitate inclusive growth, we work tirelessly with construction workers, an important stakeholder in our ecosystem whose well-being and growth we are committed to. Besides, we also have programs that cover water conservation, research and innovation for betterment of lives. I am delighted that our CSR arm Pehal Foundation has commenced a long-term infrastructure project for water conservation in water-stressed areas of Rajasthan, which is the first of many similar initiatives. During the pandemic, we contributed our efforts to contain the spread of the virus. It included installation of medical equipment such as CT in a box at a major hospital, which helped prevent the spread of viral infection within the hospital, protecting patients and staff. We also extended assistance to leading medical institutions and support their research and development in the areas of reusable PPE material. Notwithstanding the headwinds caused by the pandemic, I feel the challenges faced by residential real estate in 2020 have, in fact, become the catalyst in providing stimuli to the industry for sustained growth. The importance of owning a home got underscored from a consumer standpoint and will spur demand. At the same time, the Reserve Bank of India is leading the way to recovery by holding policy rates at historically low levels to initiate a cycle of consumption-led growth. The government's impetus on affordable housing and the emergency credit line guarantee scheme will continue to spur demand for home loans. Extension of the co-lending model by the RBI will further help expand leverage capacities of the HFCs and create better operating metrics for the sector. We have embarked upon a transformational journey called Project Ignite with a global consulting firm to reposition business, strengthen underwriting and collections, and optimize cost. The measures undertaken will increase our digital footprints, drive efficiencies, enhance productivity, and augment growth to improve ROA and ROE. In the new normal characterized by rapid behavioral changes, we expect significant traction for our business and business model. Over the years, we have continuously evolved to meet the changing profile and needs of our customers, including millennials who are looking to buy homes early in life and believe in empowering customers with better options and choices. We are confident that with our strategic realignment and an experienced team, we are poised for a growth phase in the years to come. On behalf of our employees, the entire management team and the board, I thank you for your continued and unwavering support. I am confident that we are positioned to create significant values for all stakeholders in times to come. Thank you very much, and I request Sanjay Jain, Company Secretary, to proceed with the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Auditor's report. Since there were no qualifications, observations, or adverse comments on financial statement and matters which have any material bearing on the functioning of the company, may I, with your permission, take the auditor's report on financial statements for FY 2021 as read. Thank you. Agenda of the meeting. As the notice is already circulated to all the members, may I, with your permission, take the notice convening the meeting as read. Now, I would like to take up the resolutions as set forth in the notice of 33rd Annual General Meeting dated August 4, 2021. There are 5 ordinary businesses listed as agenda item number 1 to 5 and 3 special businesses listed at agenda item number 6 to 8. Agenda number 1 for ordinary resolution for adoption of audited standalone and consolidated financial statements of the company for the financial year ended March 31, 2021, together with reports of the directors and auditors thereto. Agenda number 2 for ordinary resolution, the appointment of director in place of Mr. C.H.S.S. Mallikarjun Rao, DIN 07667641, who retires by rotation and being eligible offers himself for reappointment. Agenda number 3 for ordinary resolution, the appointment of director in place of Mr. Sunil Kaul, DIN 05102910, who retires by rotation and being eligible offers himself for reappointment. Agenda number 4 for ordinary resolution, appointment of Messrs. T.R. Chadda and Company, LLP, Chartered Accountants as joint statutory auditors of the company for a period of 3 years. Agenda number 5 for ordinary resolution, appointment of Messrs. Singhi and Company, Chartered Accountants as joint statutory auditors of the company for a period of 3 years. Agenda item number 6 for special resolution to authorize the Board of Directors to borrow funds by issue of bonds, non-convertible debentures, or the face value aggregating up to INR 35,000 crores. Agenda item number 7 for ordinary resolution for approval of material related party transactions with Punjab National Bank being a related party. Agenda item number 8 for ordinary resolution for the payment of commission to independent directors and non-executive non-nominee directors of the company. voting. Before we proceed, I would like to inform the members that in compliance with the provisions of the Companies Act 2013 and SEBI Listing Obligation and Disclosure Requirements Regulation 2015, the company has provided the facility to cast the votes electronically on all resolutions set forth in the notice. Members who have not cast their votes electronically and who are participating in this meeting will have an opportunity to cast their votes during the meeting through the e-voting system provided by NSDL. Members can click On Vote tab on the video conference screen to avail this feature. E-voting is active. Members may please note that there will be no voting by show of hands. The company has appointed Dr. S. Chandrasekharan, failing him Mr. Rupesh Agarwal, failing him Mr. Shashikant Tiwari, partners of Mr. Chandrasekharan Associates, Company Secretaries, New Delhi, as scrutinizer for scrutinizing the electronic voting process in a fair and transparent manner. The combined results of remote e-voting and e-voting at the AGM will be declared after the report of scrutinizer is received. The results declared along with the scrutinizer's report shall be placed on company's website www.pnbhousing.com and on the website of NSDL www.evoting.nsdl.com and communicated to BSE Limited and National Stock Exchange of India Limited. Thank you.
Before we go live with the Q&A, here are some points to be noted for your convenience. Kindly turn on your video when you are projected on the broadcast screen and proceed to ask the question. Please mention your name, folio number, and the location from where you are joining. Each shareholder will have 3 minutes for their questions. Their audio and video will be opened on the announcement of their names. Over to you, sir.
To avoid repetition, the board will respond to the questions at the end once you have asked your question. You can mute and continue to watch the proceedings. I would like to welcome the members registered themselves as speakers.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. We will wait for a moment while we assemble our question queue. We take our first shareholder, Santosh Kumar Saraf. You may go ahead, please.
आदरणीय सभापति जी, उपस्थित हुए सदस्यगण और मेरे शेयरहोल्डर भाइयों बहनों, मेरा नाम संतोष कुमार सराफ, मैं कलकत्ता से बोल रहा हूं सर। सर्वप्रथम आप सभी को मेरा नमस्कार सर। आशा करता हूं आप जितने भी हमारे डायरेक्टर हैं, जितने भी हमारे अधिकारीगण हैं, जितने भी हमारे कर्मचारी हैं और जितने भी हमारे स्टेक होल्डर हैं, इस कोविड के अंदर में सुरक्षित और स्वस्थ होंगे सर। सर, मैं उन भाइयों बहनों के लिए भी अपनी संवेदना प्रकट करना चाहता हूं जो इस कोविड के पीरियड में हमें छोड़ के चले गए। मैं भगवान से प्रार्थना करता हूं, भगवान उनकी आत्मा को शांति दे और उनके परिवार को हिम्मत दे, जिससे ये अपनी कोविड की जो उनका क्षति हुई है उससे वो उभर के, उस दुख से उभर के दोबारा अपने नॉर्मल जीवन में व्यतीत कर सके। ये मेरी भगवान से प्रार्थना है सर। सर, आपने बहुत अच्छा वक्तव्य दिया, प्रेजेंटेशन दिया, तो प्रश्न तो ज़्यादा नहीं होते हैं, लेकिन फिर भी 2-4 तो मेरे प्रश्न है, बताने का कष्ट करिएगा सर। एक तो सर, इस साल 909 करोड़ रुपया कमाया जहाँ तक मैंने देखा है, फिर भी आपने डिविडेंड नहीं दिया, कारण क्या है सर? क्या रिस्ट्रिक्शन है, बताने का कष्ट करिएगा सर। एक सर, अपने 94 ब्रांचेज है, वहाँ पे अपने सैनिटाइजर और रेन वाटर की और अपने ये रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी की क्या व्यवस्था की हुई है, इसके बारे में बताइएगा सर। सर एक अपने यहाँ 1391 एम्प्लॉई आपके हैं 31 मार्च तक, उसमें आपने लिखा कि केवल 246 एम्प्लॉई फीमेल है, जो कि आपको 17.69% आते हैं। तो सर मेरा विचार यह है कि फीमेल एम्प्लॉय बढ़ाना चाहिए। अभी फीमेल को एम्पावरमेंट करते हैं तो अपना देश भी एम्पावरमेंट होगा, अपना समाज भी एम्पावरमेंट होगा, और अपनी बच्चे भी एम्पावरमेंट होंगे और भविष्य के लिए तैयार होंगे। और अभी फीमेल काफी हुनर दिखा रही है, ओलंपिक में मेडल ला रही है। अभी तो पैरा ओलंपिक में डिसेबल जो एम्प्लॉई है ये अपने फीमेल वो भी मेडल ला रही है, तो उनको हुनर देने मौका दीजिएगा सर। एक सर आपने बताने कष्ट के लिए जो अपने फिक्स डिपॉजिट लेते हैं उसकी एवरेज कॉस्ट क्या, अपनी इंटरेस्ट की एवरेज कॉस्ट क्या पेमेंट करना पड़ रहा है, उसके बारे में बताने का कष्ट करिएगा सर। और एक अपने जो बैंक से बोरिंग उठाते हैं, कहीं दूसरे से पैसा उधार लेते हैं, उसका अपना कॉस्ट क्या पड़ता है एवरेज, उसके बारे में बताने का कष्ट करिएगा सर। और सर जो अपने हाउसिंग लोन देते हैं उसमें जो अपने को इंटरेस्ट मिलता है उसका एवरेज इंटरेस्ट कितना होता है वो भी बताने का कष्ट करिएगा सर। और सर अपने जो 4000 करोड़ का प्रेफरेंशियल इशू किया था उस पैसों को किस तरह यूटिलाइज किया गया है ये बताने का कष्ट करिएगा। और अभी 35,000 करोड़ का जो आप इशू ला रहे हैं जिसके लिए आप परमिशन लाए, रिजोल्यूशन लाए कि 35,000 का एनसीटी इशू करेंगे, तो जो एनसीटी इशू होंगे सर वो एवरेज क्या रेट में आपको लगता है, किस रेट में अपने इशू करेंगे जिससे अपने बैंक को फायदा, अपने फाइनेंस कंपनी को फायदा होगा और अपने को लोन बांटने में भी सुविधा होगी सर। सर एक अपने जो एम्प्लॉई है करीबन 1391 एम्प्लॉई है, तो मैं ये पूछना चाहूंगा सर ये जो एम्प्लॉई और इनकी फैमिली का क्या 100% वैक्सीन लग चुकी है, 1 डोज है या नहीं लगी है, तो उसके लिए आप क्या कदम उठा रहे सर। आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है सर जिन एम्प्लॉई की अभी भी कोई वैक्सीन नहीं लगी है उनसे आप रिक्वेस्ट करिए कि वो अगर गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल में मिलती है तो प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल में ले लें, और ये जो 100% का अपना टारगेट है वो जल्दी से जल्दी पूरा करें, और मैनेजमेंट को अपना जो खर्चा हो मैनेजमेंट रीसम्बर्ट करेगा। इसमें मुझे लगता है आगे बड़ी सहायता करेगी सर। सर एक मैं कहूँगा आपने पेज 66 पे एक रिपोर्ट तैयार की थी तो उसका एंड किया है, वहाँ आपने केवल चेयरमैन लिखा है। चेयरमैन के नीचे नाम जरूर लिखना चाहिए था कि भाई चेयरमैन उनका नाम क्या है। चेयरमैन कहीं किसी के हो सकते थे, ऑडिट कमेटी के भी चेयरमैन हो सकते हैं, किसी भी कमेटी के। तो पेज नंबर 66 पे केवल चेयरमैन लिख के आपने खत्म कर दिया है, तो उसके नीचे मैं सोचता हूँ फ्यूचर में ध्यान रखिएगा, नाम अवश्य दीजिएगा सर। और ज्यादा समय नहीं लेता हूँ सर, ये बताने का जहाँ जहाँ अपनी खुद की बिल्डिंग है जहाँ हम किराए पे नहीं है वहाँ पर रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग के बारे में क्या कदम उठाए सर, रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के बारे में क्या कदम उठाए सर, और सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक को रिड्यूस करने के बारे में क्या कदम उठाए बताने का करिएगा। ज्यादा समय न लेते हुए हमारे जितने भी डायरेक्टर हैं, जितने भी अधिकारीगण हैं, जितने भी कर्मचारी हैं और जितने भी हमारे कस्टमर हैं उनकी फैमिली की अच्छे स्वास्थ्य की कामना करता हूँ और भगवान से प्रार्थना करता हूँ हाथ जोड़ के, भगवान उन सभी को उनकी फैमिली को ये फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2021 में हैप्पीनेस, वेलनेस और प्रोस्पेरिटी है और सेफ्टी के साथ रखे। सर बलका साहब आप तो हमारे घर करता छोड़ के चले गए सर, पता नहीं कब आपसे दोबारा मुलाकात होगी। कभी कलता अगर आप आए तो जरूर हमें याद करिएगा, आपसे मिलकर बहुत खुशी होगी। धन्यवाद समय देने। जय हिंद, जय भारत, नमस्कार। फिर एक से बात।
धन्यवाद धन्यवाद।
Thank you. Our next shareholder is Yashpal Chopra. You may go ahead, please.
Am I unmuted? Am I
Yes, sir, you
unmuted?
are. Yes, sir, we can hear you. Your video is muted.
Honorable Chairman, sir. Sir, I feel I am Yashpal Chopra calling from Delhi. Client ID 82570454. Sir, I feel it my moral duty, ethical duty, just to compliment and congratulate the management, our chairman, our MD, and the financial wizards, board of directors, our CFO, and the company secretary for getting us a grand performance of the company for a period of only 6 to 7 months. The performance was so much, I can call it excellent if I compare it with the previous year, because there was all-round growth in turnover, PBT, PAT, ROC, EPS. Everywhere there was a grand performance. Numbers were quite worth quite, you know. But sir, at the same time, in spite of all those good numbers, investors have been deprived of this dividend. That is the point which is pinching to us. So anyhow, that may be the financial strategy, and you people are the wizards of finance department, so you must be knowing it better. Sir, the second point on which I want to congratulate the management is that the controversy caused by our SEBI on the issue where our management were making all the efforts for the liquidity, and SEBI was there to put the hurdles over there. And in that game, in that battle of session, we have won at this tribunal level, and even we have got the clearance from the CCI. So that is a matter of pride for us. And I know I am very much hopeful that even at the Supreme Court we are going to win, because here the interest is that of the investors invest, that the interest is that of the liquidity for the organization. So that is the main objective. So that is why I am very much hopeful that we are going to win. Actually, I wanted to raise the query as to what is the present status of that with that Supreme Court dispute. But I know, being myself, I am an advocate dealing with this corporate affairs. I know the matter is sub judice, and I cannot expect the management to give a reply on that. So that is why that query is not there. So, sir, I will just tell you, sir, that I am very, very much hopeful that the coming times, means the current performance of this year shall be definitely far better because of two things. The first is that there has been all-round increase in the real estate business, because that share market data, which is the barometer of the strength of a company, says that real estate business is picking up like anything, and that means that indirectly or directly our companies will be gaining out of that. And the second thing is that the fear of that pandemic, fear of that cruel corona, that is winning out, because now we have learned how to live along with the corona, because now we have to follow those protocols of production safety, and because of that thing, our economy will just be on the rails. That time of stoppage and that time of halt, that is gone, and so our coming time will be definitely better. And the third point is that the liquidity point, we are very much sure that before the end of this financial year, our company will come up with those their projects for correction of liquidity and all that through those preferential issue or QIPs or through this settlement of this controversy. So before I wind up, I must thank the corporate governance under Mr. Sanjay Jain and his team, Madam Bhatia and Mr. Vaibhav. So they all need to be, and they all deserve kudos because they are maintaining a very nice relation with the shareholders. They are the bridge of solid relationship between the management and the shareholders. So that is a matter of pride. And before I wind up, I pray God to bestow positivity on you all, from the top to the last man in the organization, so that if they are safe, if they are positive, our company definitely will be positive, and our company will give the positive results, and that will be directly or indirectly, that will be growth of the investors, growth of the company. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next shareholder is Chetan Chadda. You may go ahead, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir, we can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, I am really happy to see you. सर, मैं आपके साल AGM को फिजिकल मैनर में अटेंड करता हूं और आज भी आपके साथ जब एजीएम को अटेंड कर रहा हूँ तो अपने आप को काफी खुश महसूस कर रहा हूँ। सर मैं बोर्ड से सिर्फ अभी जो मेरा लास्ट जो हमने एजीएम अटेंड की थी और उसके बाद हम लोगों ने जो हमारा एनएसडीएल से थोड़ा सा पोस्टपोन हो गया था प्रोग्राम, उसके बारे में थोड़ा डिटेल में जानना चाहता हूँ कि जो हमारी जो प्राइवेट प्लेसमेंट जो इक्विटी थी अभी उसके ऊपर हम कितने पार्ट के ऊपर चल रहे हैं, या उस प्रोग्रामिंग पे हम अभी कितना चेंज कर पाए हैं, और उसकी प्लेसमेंट से जो हमारे पास जो अमाउंट आने वाला है एक ह्यूज अमाउंट जिससे हम काफी अच्छा सर्वाइवल कर पाएंगे, उसके लिए हम कितनी तैयारी कर रहे हैं और उसके लिए अभी हमें कितना और वेट करना पड़ेगा, थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में बता दें। सर मैं सेक्रेटरियल डिपार्टमेंट का भी काफी धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं जिन्होंने मुझे आपके साथ जुड़ने का मौका दिया और आपके साथ बने रहने के लिए मुझे मौका दिया। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next shareholder is Aspi Visania. You may go ahead, please.
Chairman sir, directors and shareholders, Aspi from Bombay. Sir, I welcome Mr. Hardayal Prasad as MD and CEO. I hope under him the company will scale new heights. Sir, I also welcome Mr. Neeraj Vyas, Mr. Sudarshan Sen and Mr. Kapil Modi, who were appointed as directors during the year. Sir, is any new director from the so-called new promoters? Sir, I congratulate the management on maintaining profit year on year. So deposits as on end March were 17,129 crore, whereas disbursements were only 10,445 crore. So what have you done with the balance? You should reduce deposit rates so deposits will reduce, or else stop accepting deposits. So loans are 1/3 of FY19. So when do you expect to scale that new highs of FY19? So then gross NPAs are 4.44%. How do you see NPAs going forward, considering Q1 provision is only 160 crore, whereas quarter and quarter it was 350 crores. Their focus is on retail, but now NPAs have started increasing in retail due to pandemic and loss of jobs. Till economy does not grow, our NPAs will continue to grow. So rather than fighting with SEBI and wasting time, I would recommend that you cancel the previous deal and go for a rights issue. And PNB, our parent, can renounce the rights issue in favor of anybody. Even we will have the chance to participate, whereas earlier we were just forgotten. So thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next shareholder is Rakesh Kumar. You may go ahead, please.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible.
सर मेरी आवाज आ रही है सर?
आ रही है, आप कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं।
Chairman sir, board of directors and co-shareholder and secretarial department and moderator, जिन्होंने मुझे इसमें जुड़ने के लिए बहुत अच्छा काम किया, मैं आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूं सर कि मुझे कुछ बोलने का मौका दिया गया। सर मेरे कुछ एक दो पॉइंट ही हैं। मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूं सर कि जैसे आप एफडी लेते हैं, क्या ऐसा कुछ है कि जो स्टेक होल्डर है, शेयर होल्डर है, उनके लिए कोई परसेंटेज 1-आधा% ज्यादा हो, या कोई हाउसिंग लोन लेना चाहे तो उसके लिए कोई डिस्काउंट है इंटरेस्ट में? ऐसा कुछ बताएं कि जिससे हम दूसरे कस्टमर्स को भी, जैसे कि अपने आस पड़ोस में भी सबको बता सके कि ऐसा प्रावधान है, आप वहां पर जाइए, आपको अच्छा इंटरेस्ट ऑफ रेट मिलेगा, एफडी करवाते हैं तब भी और लोन लेते हैं तब भी। धन्यवाद सर, थैंक यू। मैं बस इतना ही सवाल है, आप इसका उत्तर जरूर दीजिए।
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next shareholder is Gagan Kumar. You may go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors and fellow shareholders. Myself, Gagan Kumar. My DP ID is 300206 110444542. I am joining this meeting from Delhi. चेयरमैन साहब, जब से अपनी कंपनी का आईपीओ आया है मैं तब से आपका शेयर होल्डर हूँ और आपने और हरदयाल साहब ने ओपनिंग रिमार्क में कंपनी के बारे में जितना विस्तृत रूप में वर्णन किया है, मैं समझता हूं कि उसके बाद क्वेरी की गुंजाइश बचती नहीं है। बस एक आधी सजेशन है सर कि अभी मैंने स्टार्ट होने से पहले जो आपका वीडियो चल रहा था उसमें देखा कि एक उन्नति लोन जो हम इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं अप टू 35 लाख रुपीज विद मिनिमम पेपर वर्क एंड फॉर्मेलिटीज। तो मेरी एक सजेशन है सर कि इसमें अगर हम अपने जो प्रोसेसिंग चार्ज या फाइल चार्ज जो हम लोग के रहते हैं उसको अगर हम अपने कंपटीटर से थोड़ा सा कम रखें और एक फोर्क क्लोजर चार्ज जो रहता है सर लोन के अंदर, उस या तो उस फोर्क क्लोजर को फिनिश किया जाए या बहुत ही मिनिमम रखा जाए, जिससे हमारे जो कस्टमर हैं वो बाकी कंपटीटर के मुकाबले हम लोगों से लोन लेने में ज्यादा इंटरेस्टेड हों। जहां तक हमारे सीएस साहब और उनकी टीम का सवाल है उसमें तो कोई डाउट है ही नहीं सर के जिस तरीके से वो लोग एक पूर्वोक्ता शेयर होल्डर ने भी कहा कि एक ब्रिज का काम करते हैं, किसी तरह की कोई क्वेरी हो कुछ मेल पे हमें तुरंत उसका रिप्लाई मिल जाता है। बाकी कंपनी का शेयर जो है हमारा अभी पीछे कुछ टाइम तक देखा 950 रुपए तक भी टच कर गया था। ऑल्दो आई नो कि ये मैनेजमेंट के हाथ में नहीं है, लेकिन स्टिल मैं आशा करूंगा कि नेक्स्ट ईयर हम लोग जब मिलेंगे, आई होप इन पर्सन इन नेक्स्ट ईयर एजीएम इफ द कंसर्न अथॉरिटी अलाउ अस, तो सो दैट एक आपका स्लोगन देखा, ऑनलाइन लोन लीजिए एक लड्डू हमारी तरफ से भी खाइए। तो मैं ये चाहूंगा कि एजीएम में लड्डू हम फिजिकल मैनर में खा पाए तो ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा सर। बस इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ धन्यवाद। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you. Our next shareholder is Pradeep Sood. You may go ahead, please.
थैंक यू चेयरमैन सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच। चेयरमैन सर, मैं प्रदीप सूद दिल्ली से अपने साथी भाई अजय खुराना जी के साथ आपका पूरे बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स का तहे दिल से स्वागत करता हूं और शुक्रगुजार हूं आपका कि आपने मुझे बोलने के लिए समय दिया। चेयरमैन सर, बीते सालों से आप जिस मेहनत लगन ईमानदारी से कंपनी के लिए डिवोशन और डेडिकेशन से काम करते चले आ रहे हैं और हम आशा करते हैं कि हमें बहुत ही बढ़िया डिविडेंड मिलेगा, अच्छा रिटर्न मिलेगा और हमारे शेयर्स की नई ऊंचाइयां तो हम चेयरमैन सर देख रहे हैं। बाकी आगे भी आप इसी तरह से मेहनत लगन ईमानदारी से काम करते रहिए और अच्छा डिविडेंड दीजिए जिसकी हमें बहुत उम्मीद है। अच्छा रिटर्न भी आएगा और शेयर्स को नई ऊंचाइयां अभी भी हैं और आगे भी मिलेंगी। बाकी चेयरमैन सर, हमारे सेक्रेटरीट डिपार्टमेंट में हमारे कंपनी सेक्रेटरी साहब हैं और उनकी पूरी टीम बहुत ही बढ़िया तरीके से काम कर रहे हैं। हमारी कभी भी किसी भी तरह की कोई भी ग्रीवेंसेस हो तो हम इनको मेल करते हैं और मेल का हमें तुरंत जवाब मिल जाता है। मैं हमारे कंपनी सेक्रेटरी साहब और टीम का बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि हमें कभी भी किसी तरह की तकलीफ उन्होंने नहीं होने दी और मिनट से पहले हर चीज़ का जवाब हमारे मेल पे मिल जाता है। बाकी इस प्लेटफॉर्म तक जुड़ने के लिए हमारे कंपनी सेक्रेटरी साहब, उनकी टीम और कोरस कॉल काम है, कोरस कॉल में काजल जी हैं, बहुत सहयोग करते हैं हमारा। तो मैं पूरी टीम का शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि आप तक पहुँचने के लिए उन्होंने जो सहयोग दिया उसके लिए मैं बहुत मेहरबान हूँ। बाकी मैं फिर से अपने साथी भाई अजय खुराना जी के साथ चेयरमैन साहब ये उम्मीद लगा के बैठा हूँ कि हम नेक्स्ट ईयर जब भी मिलें तो हम एक अच्छे डिविडेंड को टच करें, अच्छा रिटर्न मिले और शेयर्स को नहीं चाहिए मिले। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू।
Our next shareholder is Raju Verma. You may go ahead, please.
हेलो हेलो हेलो
हेलो।
वी कैन हियर यू।
हाँ सर, आवाज आ रही है सर मेरी आपको?
आ रही है बिल्कुल सर।
हेलो सर। हाँ जी सर। चेयरमैन साहब, मैनेजमेंट टीम और सेक्रेटरी डिपार्टमेंट का मैं धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूँ। ऑलमोस्ट सभी क्वेश्चंस अर्लियर शेयर होल्डर ने पूछे जा चुके हैं और थैंक यू सर इस परफॉर्मेंस के लिए, इस उन्नति के लिए और ये शेयर प्राइस के लिए। थैंक यू सो मच। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you. Our next shareholder is Sarvjit Singh. You may go ahead, please.
Hello. Can you hear my voice, sir?
Yeah, we
Chairman,
can hear you.
sir.
Please continue.
Chairman, sir, my name is Sarvjit Singh and I am a shareholder of your company, and my client ID is 02090517. Chairman, sir, first of all, good afternoon to you, all the board of directors, all the employees of PNB Housing Limited and my co-fellow shareholders. चेयरमैन सर, मुझे एक बात बोलते हुए सर बहुत ही मजा आ रहा है कि सर आपने जो हमारा शेयर का रेट पिछले साल जब हम मीटिंग में मिले थे तो अराउंड सर 190 से 200 रुपए था, जो कि सर आपके और आपके डायरेक्टर्स ने और पूरी की पूरी टीम ने इतनी मेहनत करके सर जो हम लोगों को इस बारी शेयर प्राइस दिया है, इस कोरोना काल के अंदर भी सर 900 रुपए टच किया है। ये बात सर इस कोरोना टाइम के बारे में सर आपके लिए सुनहरे अक्षरों में लिखी जाएगी जो आपने शेयर होल्डर्स को रिटर्न दिया है। और सर बाकी यही कहना चाहूंगा कि सर सारे के सारे एम्प्लॉयज और आपके पूरी की पूरी पीएनबी हाउसिंग की टीम सही सलामत रहे और सबके सब बिल्कुल ठीक रहे और उनकी फैमिलियां भी बिल्कुल ठीक रहे। हम सर भगवान से यही प्रार्थना करते हैं और सर हम उम्मीद ये करते हैं जब हम 2022 में मिले तो सर हम एक बारी फिजिकल मीटिंग में सर आमने सामने उसी तरीके से मिले जिस तरीके से सर आज से 2 साल पहले हम आपसे मिले हैं। बाकी सर धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा आपकी सेक्टरल डिपार्टमेंट की पूरी टीम का और आपके मॉडरेटर्स की पूरी टीम का, जिन्होंने सर मेरे को बोलने का मौका दिया और आपसे इस लाइन पे सर मेरे को स्मूथली कंडक्ट किया। थैंक यू सर।
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you. Our next shareholder is on an audio call. Bhupender Singh, you may go ahead, please.
हेलो, मेरी आवाज सुनाई दे रही है सर?
आ रही है, आपकी आवाज आ रही है।
मेरी आवाज आ रही है आपको?
आ रही है।
चेयरमैन सर और आपकी पूरी टीम को मैं मुबारकबाद देना चाहता हूँ कि जो पिछले साल हमारे शेयर की कीमत करीबन 200-250 रुपए के आसपास थी और आज हम करीबन 600-650 के करीब है। इस बढ़ी हुई कीमत को देखते हुए हमें बड़ी खुशी हो रही है और हम चाहते हैं कि आपका ऐसा ही योगदान होता रहे जिससे शेयर होल्डर्स को फायदा मिले। मैं आपकी टीम में श्री संजय जैन कंपनी सेक्रेटरी का विशेष रूप से आभारी हूँ जिसने मुझे ये बोलने का अवसर दिया और आपसे कहने का अवसर दिया। यहाँ पर आपका बहुत ही अच्छा बोर्ड है। मैं चाहता हूँ कि जो आप इतने अच्छे निर्णय करते हैं, जो आपने पिछला निर्णय किया हमें नहीं समझ आता कि आपने श्री पुरी साहब का जो प्रस्ताव था 340 रुपए में शेयर देने का वो कैसे स्वीकार कर लिया, जबकि आपको इतना पैसा था। हम शेयर होल्डर वैसे ही राइट इश्यू में आपको दे सकते हैं। यदि आप 400 रुपए भी हमसे मांगे तो हम आपका पूरा इक्विटी डबल 100% आपका पूरा जमा करा सकते हैं। आप शेयर होल्डर्स के पास जाइए, क्योंकि ये पुरी साहब तो HDFC बैंक में भी इन्वेस्टर के बिल्कुल अगेंस्ट थे। इन्होंने जितनी भी कार्रवाई की इन्वेस्टर के अगेंस्ट काम किया, जिससे कि इवन जो इन्वेस्टर उनके बैंक में डिविडेंड जमा करते थे उसके ऊपर भी चार्जेस लगाए, जबकि भारत की राष्ट्र संसद ने क्लियरली कहा हुआ है कि भाई जितना भी डिविडेंड है वो शेयर होल्डर के हाथ में बिना टैक्स के जाना चाहिए। जबकि इस बैंक ने सिर्फ पुरी साहब जो इन्वेस्टर के बिल्कुल अगेंस्ट हैं, उन्होंने उसके ऊपर पेनल्टी लगाई और कई शेयर होल्डर्स के डिविडेंड के ऊपर जिनको बेचारे को 100-150 रुपए का डिविडेंड था उनके ऊपर 500-500 रुपए की पेनल्टी लगी कि भाई आपने डिविडेंड ज्यादा जमा कर दिया। ऐसे आदमी के लिए आप पूरे सेबी से लड़ाई ले रहे हैं और जनता का पैसा कोर्ट सिप में खराब करोगे। इसलिए मैं आपसे यही अनुरोध है कि अब जबकि आप हाई कोर्ट ने भी आपका अगेंस्ट दे दिया है, सेबी ने भी अगेंस्ट कर दिया था, सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कंपनी ने जाना नहीं चाहिए। सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जो खर्चा होगा वो आप शेयर होल्डर्स का मेहनत का पैसा है, जिन लोगों ने पैसा कंपनी में लगाया हुआ है। आप ऐसे पैसा इस जो कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कम से कम 2-3 साल आपको निर्णय में लगेंगे, ये जल्दी एकदम इमीडिएट आपको आएगा नहीं। या इसके बजाय आप शेयर होल्डर से लीजिए, शेयर होल्डर्स को राइट इश्यू दीजिए। शेयर होल्डर पूरे हिंदुस्तान में आपको इतना पैसा देंगे, यदि आप 300-400 रुपए में जो जिस हिसाब से आप उसको दे रहे थे शेयर, उसी हिसाब से शेयर होल्डर से लोगे तो आपको पूरा पैसा मिलेगा और जल्दी मिलेगा। ये बजाय 3 साल आप इंतजार करो और अपना मैनेजमेंट भी उस आदमी के हाथ में दो जो इन्वेस्टर के अगेंस्ट है, और इस ऐसा करने के बजाय आप शेयर होल्डर से पैसा लीजिए। मेरा आपसे यही अनुरोध है। मैं लास्ट में अंत में यही आपसे अनुरोध करता हूं कि आप शेयर होल्डर्स के लिए इतना उदार बनिए कि कम से कम एक राइट इश्यू देके वो सब याद रखें। शुक्रिया, इतना ही मैं आपको कहना चाहता हूँ। थैंक यू।
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next shareholder is Vimal Jain. You may go ahead, please.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible, Mr. Jain. You can go ahead.
Okay. Very good evening, respected chairman, all the board of directors, and my fellow shareholders attending this e-meeting. Sir, I want to tell that I have full faith in the management, and I also equally congratulate the management for a good teamwork to bring down the total expenditure as compared to previous year. And I expect that this expenditure will further come down in the coming years. I have a small query that the board has not recommended any dividend for FY21. So in this regard, I would also like to state that with the improved scenario and with the improved expectations in the future regarding home loans, how is our company planning to reward the shareholders? So can we expect an interim dividend in FY22 or something like that? Lastly, I would like to thank the Secretarial Department and all the staff for making this good arrangement for the excellent e-meeting, as well as for giving me the opportunity to put up my query. And I hope that the next time when we'll meet, we'll have a much better and a good market value of our share price. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next shareholder is Manjeet Singh. You may go ahead, please.
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are.
You are audible, sir.
हेलो,
Yes, sir, you are audible.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी। पीएनबी हाउसिंग के सभी बोर्ड मेंबर, चेयरमैन, शेयर होल्डर और एम्प्लॉइज सबका मैं स्वागत करता हूं और प्रार्थना करता हूं भगवान से कि ये जो बीमारी का दौर चल रहा है, सब बीमारी से बचकर रहें। और आपने जो है अपना प्रॉफिट पहले से बढ़ाया ही है, रेवेन्यू थोड़ा कम हुआ है इस साल में, थोड़ा रेवेन्यू बढ़ाने की तरफ आप थोड़ा कार्य करें। प्रॉफिट आपने फिर भी रेवेन्यू कम होने के बावजूद डाउन नहीं होने दिया है। ये आपकी प्रतिबद्धता है, आपकी कोशिश है, जो मतलब आप उस पर कायम रहे हैं। सर, आने वाले 3 साल का हमारा रोड मैप क्या है, फ्यूचर प्लान क्या है, आप इस बारे में जरूर बताइएगा। हाउसिंग डेवलप जो करती हैं कंपनियां, उनके साथ हमारा कोई टाई अप है हाउसिंग लोन के लिए, आप इस बारे में जरूर बताइएगा। आपकी मीटिंग शुरू होने से पहले जो स्क्रीन पर आपने विंडो दिखाई थी, उसमें आप चाहत थी आपकी कि जैसे हमारा देश, उसमें 126 करोड़ बताए जा रहे थे, अप्रोक्सीमेटली 130 करोड़ भी हो सकते हैं। वो तो अब गणना होएगी तो तब पता चलेगा। अभी 2011 की गणना के हिसाब से हम चल रहे हैं। तो आपने जो 126 करोड़ लोगों को सपना दिखाया है कि भी आने वाले टाइम में किसी को अगर होम वगैरह लेना है तो होम लोन उसको जो है कम कागज की कार्रवाई और ऑनलाइन विंडो के हिसाब से भी मिल सकता है। आपने इस बारे में काफी अच्छा दिखाया है। तो मैं चाहूंगा कि जैसे आप क्लिप चलाते हैं तो इसमें हमारा कोई ब्रांड एम्बेसडर भी आए। जैसे अभी 2021 के 22-21 वाले ओलंपिक हुए हैं, अभी जो 2020 में होने थे, टोक्यो ओलंपिक 2021 में हो पाए कोविड के कारण, तो उसमें हमने मेडल अच्छे जीते हैं। और आने वाले 2024 में, जैसे 2021 के अंदर टोक्यो में हमारा जो है ओलंपिक का दल करीब 130 सदस्यों का था, तो उम्मीद है इस बार शायद 150 मेंबर जाएं उसमें। तो चेयरमैन सर, ऐसा कुछ हो सकता है कि किसी एक मेंबर को हम जो है एक गोद लेकर उसको पूरी प्रैक्टिस कराकर 2024 में भेजें और वो वहां से मेडल लेकर आए, और जैसे हम ये क्लिप चलाते हैं उसके अंदर वो हमारा ब्रांड एम्बेसडर बने, तो बड़ा एक अच्छा लगेगा। ये एक सुझाव है, अगर इस बारे में कोई विचार हो तो जरूर बताइएगा। और बाकी ये जो लिंक बैठा है ये सेक्रेटरियल डिपार्टमेंट की मेहनत ही है जो हम आपसे जुड़ पाए हैं। मॉडरेटर ने भी बहुत अच्छा काम किया है, सेक्रेटरियल डिपार्टमेंट बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहा है जो हम आपसे इतनी आसानी से जुड़ पाते हैं। और आने वाले टाइम में देखो भगवान ने जैसा चाहा, अगर कोई फिजिकल मीटिंग का प्रावधान बनेगा तो हो जाएगा। बाकी ये जो इंतजाम सेक्रेटरियल डिपार्टमेंट, रजिस्ट्रार और मॉडरेटर ने आपके किया है उसके लिए आप सेक्रेटरियल डिपार्टमेंट की पीठ जरूर थमाना जी। थैंक यू जी।
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next shareholder is Ajay Kumar Jain. You may go ahead, please.
नमस्कार। हेलो हेलो हेलो, हाँ हेलो हेलो, आवाज आ रही है सर मेरी? हेलो, हाँ नमस्कार सर, मैं दिल्ली से अजय कुमार जैन शेयर होल्डर बोल रहा हूँ। मैं आईपीओ के टाइम से आपका शेयर होल्डर हूँ। अपने 6 अन्य परिवार के सदस्य जो शेयर होल्डर है उनके साथ इस वार्षिक आम सभा में भाग ले रहा हूँ। और कंपनी ने एनुअल रिपोर्ट के माध्यम से बिल्कुल स्पष्ट अपनी फाइनेंशियल और प्रोजेक्शन के बारे में कहा। और जमीन साहब ने अपनी स्पीच में और हमारे हरदयाल सर ने जो प्रोजेक्शन अपनी रिपोर्ट में बताया वो बिल्कुल सारे प्रश्नों का उत्तर दे रहा था। और सर प्रश्न तो काफी कोई भी कर सकता है, लेकिन पूरे निदेशक मंडल और अध्यक्ष जी के नेतृत्व में इस विषम परिस्थितियों में कंपनी को चलाना और उसको अपने प्राइस को मेंटेन करना वो एक बहुत बड़ी बात होती है। और उसका वो अध्यक्ष मंडल ही सारा जानता है कि किस तरह इस विषम परिस्थिति में कंपनी को चलाया गया। और सर सबसे बड़ी बात है जो आज हमारे अध्यक्ष जी है उनके जो अधिकारी के रूप में जो प्रतिष्ठा है, जो एक सख्त अधिकारी है और जिनका ध्यान खाली एनपीए को रिकवर करना और कंपनी के अंदर किसी भी बात के विवादों को खत्म करने की रही है छवि, वो उसका जो हमें फायदा मिलेगा वो आने वाले वित्त वर्षों में मिलेगा। इस साल हमारे बोर्ड में कई निर्देशक मंडल में कई नए निर्देशक शामिल हुए हैं। उनका अनुभव, अध्यक्ष जी का नेतृत्व, क्योंकि वो इतने स्ट्रिक्ट हमारे एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर है, प्रीवियस में भी इलाहाबाद बैंक में रहे, कि भाई किसी हर बात के विवादों को खत्म करेंगे। और उनकी छवि हमेशा इन्वेस्टर के फ्रेंडली की रही है। ये नहीं कि वो किसी को बात का पक्षपात करते हैं। और यदि कोई किसी प्रकार का पहले विवाद रहा हो तो मैं उनके नेतृत्व में ये पूरी आशा रखता हूँ कि सारे विवाद खत्म होंगे और हमेशा निवेशक का ही हित उनके नेतृत्व में रहेगा। और सर हरदयाल सर का सीईओ के रूप में कार्य बहुत उच्च श्रेणी का है और हमेशा वो हमेशा कंपनी के बारे में अच्छे ही सोचते हैं। सर संजय सर की टीम और संजय जी तो वेल नोन है और सब कुछ अच्छा करते हैं। और मैं चाहता हूँ कि इस साल संजय जी हम लोगों को भी याद रखें, क्योंकि हम भी उनके एक साइलेंट वेल विशर और कंपनी के वेल विशर हैं। और सर हमारे चेयरमैन, यशस्वी चेयरमैन साहब के नेतृत्व में कंपनी हमारी इसी तरह आगे बढ़ती रहेगी। सर कंपनी का जो टाइम एजीएम का है वह हाई टी के लिए याद किया जाता था, वो आज भी याद आ रहा है, लेकिन विषम परिस्थितियों में ये सब नहीं हो पाया। सारे विवाद खत्म होंगे ऐसी मेरी आशा है, क्योंकि चेयरमैन साहब इन सब चीजों के लिए सोचेंगे। संजय जी का, कोरस कॉल का और हरदयाल सर का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। नमस्कार।
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next shareholder is Santosh Bhutani. You may go ahead, please.
जी, मैं संतोष भटानी विद एमपी बुचानी चेयरमैन सर आपका स्वागत करता हूं, दिल से आभार प्रकट करता हूं। आपने बहुत ही अच्छे ढंग से 1 घंटा 60 मिनट तक हमारी विस्तार रूप से चल रही है और आप सभी अधिकारियों को कहने का मौका देंगे। For giving me an opportunity, and I would like to thank the company secretary Sanjay Jain ji and Chandni ji, Vaibhav ji, and course team for joining me and helping me in this platform. Sir, your annual report and notice was received well in time, and I appreciate the efforts of the team for giving the vast information in the report. Sir, while I was having my rest in your opening remarks question, I want to know just comments on few points. Number one, midterm and long-term strategy on the challenges. and how you are addressing this issue due to the impact of the pandemic situation of second wave and also the fear of third wave, and how have we ready ourselves for any similar situation in the This scheme was launched last year to settle pending disputes. Indication are there that the scheme has been a good success. Your comments on it? Any company upon, if any, sir? Any significant bad debts, and it is a present position as of 30th July comparing to the corresponding period, sir? Under your leadership and your continuous efforts and customer-centric approach and your strong and effective steps towards creating higher benchmark and wealth creation for holder, I must say all this is the work. So, after going through the recent journey of the company, feeling but not fully contented because we feel that the management has much more potential than what it has delivered. Yeah. Sir, we feel that the company management is very competent in its approach and achieve the target to achieve systematic in its working and stronger in its commitment and more people. I would appreciate if you could bring all the best for the company and for the under your leadership, sir. जैसा कि हम जानते हैं तो जतनी जयंती आजादी का महोत्सव मनाया जा रहा है, विशाल अखंड सम्मेलन किया जा रहा है, सरकार इस ओर अवसर है, जगह जगह कई कंपनियां इसका आयोजन भी कर रही हैं। सरदार पटेल ने कहा इस मिट्टी ने कुछ खास बात ऐसी है कि कई बाधाओं के बावजूद भी हमेशा मातुओं का निवास रहा है। अंग्रेजों ने भारत के 7 टुकड़े किए थे 1973 से 47 तक, बावजूद भी हमारा देश अग्रसर है, मजबूत है, आगे बढ़ रहा है। आप जैसे कर्मठ और ईमानदार दस्ता के जैसे जो आप चला रहे हैं, बहुत ही साहसिक कदम हमारी कंपनी इतनी बाधाओं के बाद भी विपरीत स्थितियों में भी कंपनी अपने आप को प्रतिद्वंदी से मजबूती से आगे बढ़ रही है। मैं चेयरमैन सर अपनी बात एक तय खत्म करना चाहूंगा कि सारी आपके हाथ है और आपके साथ है। आप किसी भी मुकाम में राइट इशू लाए, किसी भी फॉर्म में आप आपको पूरा समर्थन देंगे। इसलिए गैरों से कह दो कि अकेले नहीं है हम, दुआओं का काफिला है हमारे साथ। सर, बुजुर्गों ने शेरों को भी सिखा दिया है खामोश रहना, क्योंकि उनको एहसास है कि दहाड़ कर सीखा जा सकता है। पदों के साथ कंपनी की वर्किंग में जान डालना है, बहुत ऐसी हमारी विश्वास है। मैं पुनः सभी टीम को, सभी अधिकारियों कर्मचारियों को जो पैंडेमिक टाइम में अपना ड्यूटी को कर रहे हैं, उनका मैं बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं और आने वाले से बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाओं के साथ धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत सर।
Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last shareholder in queue. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. With this, we conclude the question session from all the shareholders. I now request the chairman and MD and CEO of PNB Housing to address the queries raised by the members. Thank you, sir. Chairman, sir.
No, these are all questions from the shareholders. I would now request MD Mr. Harvil Prasad to reply those questions.
So, the response to Mr. Santosh Kumar Saraf, who had raised some issues and asked questions on the average cost of our borrowings and other things. The cost of borrowings for FY21 actually stood at 7.9%, and it actually declined by 34 basis points on YOY basis. Similarly, the cost we expect that the cost of borrowing to reduce going forward. And if you really look at it in this quarter of June, the incremental cost of borrowing came down to 5.74%. This is the first time that the company was able to reduce its cost of borrowings below 6%, though it is for short term. But the company remains steadfast in its approach. It's been negotiating with all the borrowers in terms of all banks and others to reduce the interest rates as much as possible. Though the interest rates have come down significantly, and our spreads we have been able to negotiate also. However, we continue to be very, very upbeat in terms of reducing our cost, and we expect that we will continue to negotiate with everybody. In fact, one of the NCD borrowings that we did, I think it was in June that we did, we were able to get interest rate at a rate which was very, very low, and we continue to remain engaged with everybody. In terms of the vaccination, there was another question on the vaccination of employees. So almost about 95% of our employees are vaccinated at least once. And this number is actually as on about 10 days old. But the company has engaged with one of the leading hospital chains for inoculating all our employees. And we expect that by 31st August, all employees will be inoculated. And we are now working on the second inoculation, which is very, very important from our perspective. So that when they interact, when they go out, not only are they safe, but they also ensure that customers that they interact with, they are also safe. There was another query on the rainwater harvesting and what we are doing. The company has only one property, which is in a multi-story building. So there, the water harvesting, the harvesting, and all other things are managed by the facilities team of that building. Otherwise, all our properties were on the rent basis, and property owners, whether they have. And as many of you would be aware, presently, I think when the approvals are given for construction of properties, rainwater harvesting is one of the most important things that is always insisted. And therefore, we assume that these things are taken care by the property owners. I think this is very important, and I also mentioned to you in my address that the company is working in Rajasthan for rainwater harvesting. We remain very, very conscious of the fact that it is important that we maintain the ecology balance and we take care of the environment. And with the same principle, in our offices, we have, in most of our offices, we have removed the plastic bottles that used to be consumed. And we provide, standard bottles, the water is provided, and we see to it that the hygiene is maintained. So the plastic and other waste are minimized to whatever extent possible. There was another question on the women empowerment and on the women's percentage. It has gone down to some extent this year. However, the company had a policy of maintaining almost about 17%, and going forward we are increasing those numbers. We are slightly ahead at 17.98, but it is more to do with the COVID and other impacts, where we have seen large number of women employees leaving and taking care of other things. However, as a policy, we remain very, very committed towards the diversity angle, and we will see to it that the numbers go up. In fact, one of the directors in the company, Ms. Geeta Nair, who's sitting here, since she has joined, she has always been asking on these things that the company must do something about it. So the company is conscious about these things. On the dividend payout, there was a question that why the company did not pay the dividend. The reason is that we were in the midst of raising capital, and on the one hand, capital was a constraint, and there was this. There could have been some more time that would have been required. The board decided that we need to conserve capital, and that is one of the reasons that the dividend was not declared. However, in terms of the second query that was there for the interim dividend, I think that's a call that the board will take, keeping in view what is actually the capital position, what is the profitability, and at the appropriate juncture, that decision will be taken by the board whether these things can be done. In terms of our yield on advances is another question that was there. On the yield of advances, the company has a yield of advance of 10.4. The interest rates have been falling. However, we have been able to protect to some extent, despite the fact that there have been some amount of regulatory policy changes that have been brought in when we offer interest rates, and we offer interest rates which is lower to retain the customers. Those are some of the changes that have been done. Despite that, the company has been able to keep the yield on advances at 10.4 percentages. These are some of the questions that came from Mr. Santosh Saraf. If I missed out on something, I will. If I'm not able to cover it in the next questions, I will. It can be pointed out, or what we'll do is that we will send responses. I think Mr. Yashpal Chopra mentioned about non-payment of dividend, which I have already covered, and why we did not pay. In terms of SEBI case on preferential present status that was asked for, many of you would be aware that post multiple hearings, SAT had pronounced a judgment on the 9th of August. The SAT judgment was a split verdict, with the presiding officer coming out in our favor, while the other justice had dismissed the appeal. In view of the conflict, the presiding judge had also mentioned that the registry will put up the order for appropriate action. So that was one which is still awaited. Meanwhile, the company has been interacting very, very closely with the promoters, other shareholders, in terms of the future course of action. And meanwhile, on 31st, SEBI has gone and filed an appeal with the Supreme Court. We are looking at it. The board is meeting to review it, and hopefully we will have a very clear picture on what exactly needs to be done. There was also a question on the liquidity of the company. The company remains extremely liquid. We are very comfortably placed in our liquidity. There is enough liquidity and pipeline of borrowing to address any commitment over the 3 months at the minimum level. It's been about 1.5 years that the company has maintained slightly higher liquidity because of the COVID and other problems that are there. And during FY21, the company has incrementally borrowed 29,000 crores, primarily through various long-term instruments, which is bank term loans, deposits, NHB refinance, and other things. We have maintained a liquidity of almost about 6,005 crore of cash and liquid investments as on 31st March 2021, along with undrawn and sanctioned lines of over 3,000 crores, which we have and which we can use any time. This was a query from Mr. Yashpal Chopra and Mr. Chetan Chadda had mentioned about the preferential allotment of it. I did mention to you that it is still sub judice. The board is going to take up this matter, and we will come out with a very clear-cut view in terms of how we are going to come out, how we are going to address some of the queries that have been raised, the split verdict, and what is the way forward for the company. It remains a fact that the company needs capital, and the capital is required if in whichever way it is possible. So that was one query from Mr. Chetan. And then we had a query on the deposit, the 17,000 crores of deposits and disbursements of 10,000 crore. Actually, the disbursements and deposits have nothing to do other than the fact that the incremental deposit go towards the disbursements. So the incremental deposits were there. There was a 6% growth in the deposits last year, but only that incremental deposit goes towards that. Otherwise, the overall deposit that remains is part of the overall liquidity and the borrowing, that the commitment, and the company already has a very large pool of assets which are funded through various means. So that is one thing that is there. So there's a little in the understanding. There's a little. I would like to bring that clarification in it. In terms of the NPAs, the company has seen a little inflated NPAs. The reason was that the company had built strong skills in the self-employed sector. And the self-employed sector was one which was badly affected in COVID. And that's one of the reasons that the customers or the borrowers in that sector had definitely, we had some issues on the NPA. So the increase in the GNPA is primarily on account of COVID-19. It's a recognized fact that it is COVID-19. However, we had a little higher numbers more because of the profile of our customers. And many of you have mentioned that you have been a shareholder since the IPO, you would know that for the same portfolio was behaving extremely favorably and normally till about 2019 and even for some extent into 20. And it's only after, and it had withstood all kinds of vagaries of changes, whether it was GST, whether it was demonetization, whether it was ILFS crisis, the NBFC crisis. But the COVID has impacted the company significantly. I think that is there. What the company did to respond to it, that adequate ECL provisions were created, both in retail and corporate book, to absorb any unexpected shock from foreseeable future and corresponding risk trajectory. 778 crore provision was created in FY21 in addition to write-off of around 83 crores, primarily towards a vintage book of 3 years in retail. So I think what we have done is that our ECL provisions are quite adequate and they will take care of the vagaries. Even if, and we have factored in that in case the Delta variant strikes India once again. Last few days we have seen very high numbers in Kerala. And if that also happens, we have taken into account that we are a little conservative in terms of the way the provisions are built. So hopefully going forward and the kind of data analytics that we have brought into our collection machinery, we are seeing the return of normalcy both in the collection efficiency, the telecalling efficiency. Only in the last month we have increased it by 3% on the telecalling just to see to it that it doesn't go. I think those are some of the things that the company is doing to ensure that the numbers remain strong. So Rajesh Kumar had actually raised a question on the higher deposit rates or lower interest rates for shareholders. I think that's a suggestion that keeps on coming in many of the shareholder meetings, and that's one thing that we will think about it and see if that can be brought in. We definitely have a higher interest rates for the senior citizens. As a practice, most of the financial institutions have special interest rates on the deposit for senior citizens. So that's one thing that we do. Once in a while during campaign, we definitely look at coming out with some attractive offers, whether it is a processing fee or some interest rate. And these are usually done during the period of festivals and others. The company remains committed towards coming out with attractive offers whenever it is possible, keeping in view the profitability. At the end of the day, many of you have recognized that the profit increased by almost 44%. So we will ensure that we do not sacrifice those things. At the end of the day, the bottom line is important. The top line is equally important for the growth story and other things to continue. Mr. Gagan Kumar from Delhi, he mentioned about Unnati foreclosure and other things, loans up to and processing charges. Actually, processing charges are something that I mentioned to you that it's only on offers once in a while. That processing charges are important because by the time a loan is sanctioned, there is significant amount of expenditure that is done on the acquisition side, underwriting side, the disbursement and other things. There are expenses involved, and the company doesn't make a lot of profit out of it. It's just ensuring that the expenditures are met. In terms of the foreclosure and other things, the Reserve Bank of India has already come out in February for not charging of the foreclosure. So there are no foreclosure charges right now in certain categories which are allowable by the Reserve Bank of India. We go ahead and do it. So, this is going to respond to the. Just give us 7 minutes. I think Mr. Pradeep Sood and Mr. Ajay Khurana from Delhi, they mentioned about the good results and other things. Also about the company secretarial team, we'd like to thank you for that. We will continue to work hard for you. We will see to it that value is created not only for shareholders but all stakeholders, and it is important that the company remains strategically positioned despite all challenges, so that we create value out of it which will benefit. And you already have seen that from about 157 rupees share price, it had shot up to almost about 400, 500 till March, April, and then it has gone up to almost 900 crores. I think that's one thing that we have done it. So I think Mr. Pradeep mentioned, and also Mr. Sarabjit mentioned about the returns and other things. So I'd like to thank Mr. Sarabjit also on this issue. Mr. Vimal Jain, I think you said that there is a full faith in the management. Thank you very much. The management continues to work hard. The governance structure is strong of the company. It continues to actually take guidance from the board of directors, who continue to guide the company in terms of the strategy and other things. On the operational part, the company remains strong with people with large experiences, and they continue to handle the functions in one of the best possible way. We'll also ask about the dividend, but we have covered about the dividend part. And the second question was on how the company is planning to reward the shareholders. I think I mentioned to you at some stage, if we feel that there is or if the performance is good, we will take guidance from the board, or we seek approval from the board for an interim dividend and other things. So Manjeet mentioned about increasing the revenues and other things. Actually, we have a little depleting book, and that's one of the reasons. Because of the depleting book, our cost of funds are a little higher than banks which have a CASA, which is current account and savings bank, where the interest rates are very low and they are able to actually quote very, very low interest rates. So the attrition of the book remains a challenge for the company. Despite that, the company not only did disbursements of 10,000 crores last year, but this year it plans to increase it by almost about 40 to 50%. So once the disbursements are increased, once this attrition of the book reduces, we are very sure that the revenues and other interest and others will continue to improve. And we remain the budget, the environment, and overall conditions that are there. We hope that they become favorable and we are able to make higher disbursement. There's one more thing I would like to point out, and that is that the company has, and I mentioned it in my opening remark, that we have decided that we are going to be a retail-focused company with a lot of emphasis on the affordable housing. I think that remains a very good sweet spot We already have a presence of almost about 3,000 crores in that area, and we are building new business models to enter those areas which are going to give higher yields. And those are some of the steps that we are going to take in terms of bringing in productivity improvement. Those are again some of the things that will help the company to increase its, either protect the cost or increase revenues. But in respect of tie-up with developers and other things, we have tie-ups with developers. We finance those. We have limits over there up to 15%, up to which we go to it. We'll continue to look at good opportunities where the record is good. The delivery of the proper delivery of those housing is on time. Those are some of the things that the company keeps on looking at it, and we will continue to look at that. There was one more question on the tie-up with banks and other things. I think we have already entered into a co-lending model with one of the leading banks, private sector banks in India. We are working with many other banks, both public and private sector, to enter into some more co-lending model. I think co-lending is also will give us not only better interest rate for the customers, but it will also help in terms of improvement of other income, and the revenues will improve. I think those are some of the important things that we are doing. Last year we had, this is last financial year, we had also given some support to one para-Olympic. There was a girl from, I think, Northeast or I think Uttarakhand. That is where we had also given some support to them. We remain committed. We do not have a very clear, CSR in terms of the support to the poor, because as a housing finance company, we have always concentrated on working with builders, improving skill sets, creating economic assets and all those things. But I think this is a good suggestion, and we will discuss it with the CSR committee to see if we can come out with a CSR initiative of supporting prospective Olympic, Paralympic, World Championship sportsmen who can be actually supported by the company as part of the CSR. Ajay Kumar Jain, I think thanks for the wishes. We appreciate that. We recognize that you all have stood by the company. We would like that you stand by the company. We definitely are going through a COVID time. The whole economy is suffering, and we'll see to it that we come out as a much stronger company with a change in the retail strategy, with a change in the overall book that we are looking at it, and the model change. I did mention to you that we have a consultants, an international consultancy company which is working on it towards the underwriting piece, towards the sourcing acquisition piece, on the cost side and the collection. And these measures are some which will help us significantly. So Santosh Patani he mentioned about strategy on challenges of COVID. I think what we have done is that, first of all, the biggest challenge was to protect, our employees, because they are the first customers. So, first of all, we had started this work from home. We protected our customers significantly in terms of ensuring that they do not, have COVID, but when they go out to meet, they do not actually transmit them. I think that's one of them. The second one was on the inoculation also that we did. This is on the employee front, which is very, very critical from it. In terms of our strategy for growth and other things, the company has, the skill sets, which is very, very good and strong on the underwriting piece, on the salaried and self-employed. I think what we are looking at is that self-employed is one where there is a possibility of improvement on the yield and other things. So the company is working on changing a little bit of mix of the business that it does. We have already exited. One of the biggest challenge was on the NPA from the corporate side. The company has already decided to move away from the corporate funding. So we have become retail focused. And with this change in the strategy, in terms of affordable, where the yield is higher, I think we are going to respond to it very, very strongly. We have created a separate, not exactly created, but we are bringing up a vertical for affordable housing. Those are some of the things that come straight away from the challenge from the government of India, which says that they want housing for all. The Prime Minister says that the housing for all, and I think that challenge we are meeting it. So those are some of the NPA remains a cause of concern for us, and we are looking at it very, very closely. We have brought in many changes in the collection. Some of them have yielded results. Some of them are work in progress. And we'll see to it that this NPA increase is immediately pulled back. I think that's one of the most important challenge that remains in the company, to ensure that we bring in capital, we ensure that the growth remains, we ensure that the profitability is strong, cost control measures are there, and overall productivity and efficiency parameters improve. I think these are some of the things that the company has been doing. So I think hopefully I have responded to most of the question. If there are anything.
So if anything is there, they can send the email.
Yes, sir, we can respond to it.
Yeah, please continue.
So I think we have all the questions we have responded.
Right. Now I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who have supported us during this virtual meeting and participated in the best possible manner. I hereby declare that the meeting is closed, and you are aware that the voting processes still remain for another 30 minutes, then later on it will be closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.